starting this. Okay, so looks like we're up live. Hi everyone, I am Manny. I'll be the facilitator for this session. So thank you all for joining the Virtual College Exploration for all Illinois students. I'm gonna go over just a few housekeeping items before I turn it over to our lovely panelists. And so if you wanna ask questions, you can please use the Q&A feature the feature on the bottom, but keep in mind that they will not be able to hear or see you, but you obviously will be able to hear and see them. Your camera and microphone are off, they're muted. So again, they can't see or hear you. And please also sign up for more sessions. You can sign up at www.iacac.org, and the recordings will be made available to you. You can also see them online so that you can view them in an on-demand session anytime you want, really. And that again is available at www.iacac.org. So I am going to go ahead and turn it over.
All right, while we get our screen shared with you, I just want to introduce myself. I'm Chrissy Grotsky. I'll be one of your presenters today. And today we're talking about trying to find your college fit. And I know you hear a lot about that word fit, and it might not actually be a one-size-fits-all situation. So that's really what we want to talk about, are the types of things, the types of measurements that you want to take as you move forward. And so I'm going to turn it over to Josephine to tell you a little bit about Ohio State, and we'll tell you a little bit about the schools that we're from.
Hi, good afternoon or evening, guys. My name is Josephine West, and I'm the Midwest Regional Recruiter for The Ohio State University. And in this presentation, I'm going to be more geared towards your large, big university college settings. So at Ohio State, we are the largest in the Big Ten with about 46,000 undergrad. We are located in Columbus, Ohio, which is the 13th largest city. So we're going to kind of address that as also. And so as far as a university, we are the third largest university in the country. So when I speak, I'm going to be speaking to more of those larger sized universities and colleges.
And I'm Chrissy Grotsky with Michigan Technological University, which is located in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, which is actually north of Wisconsin. Most people think we're Canada, but we're not. That's still Michigan. And I represent the mid-sized school. Michigan Tech has roughly about 7,000 students total. And we're a public institution, for your public. We are unique in the fact that we're more geared towards STEM-focused majors. So even though we're a full-blown university, most of our majors are in engineering, science, computer science, math, and business.
Hi everyone, I'm Catherine Hankamp, or Kat Hankamp. I'm the Chicago Regional Counselor for St. Norbert College, which is in De Pere, Wisconsin. I'm sure you're familiar of the city that we're a suburb of. It's Green Bay, but still big Bears fans, and you don't have to be a Packers fan to go up to Wisconsin. But we are going to be the small school today. St. Norbert College is about 2,000 students, so considerably less than our friends here. And a small school is typically 5,000 students or less, so we're going to fit into that. I also am going to talk on topics of being a private institution as well as having a religious background too.
Sounds great. So I am we're going to go to the next slide. And we're really going to talk about where do you like to shop. So this is finding your own fit. So really, it's all about what do you think you'd like. And so for what you really need to do maybe is sit down and kind of get an idea. Are you a suburban, rural, urban? Do you like public versus private? What do you want in campus life and residential? So I'm going to talk more of those larger schools, particularly. So Ohio State and many larger schools are kind of in a more urban city kind of setting. So with a big city nearby, not too far away. So that is convenient with things, sorry, my dog's barking. So that is convenient with internships and co-ops. So when you are in those more urban kind of settings, you can just hop on the bus and maybe go do your internship and co-op, not too far away. Some of them also in those urban kind of settings might be the capital of the state. And so if you're interested in political science, you might want to maybe go to school in the same town that's the capital. And so you might want to start looking into that. So what do you like? Public versus private. So public is, we're publicly funded. So most of us are, the flagship schools of the state. And so we do get, so we have a lot of in-state students, and then, probably about 30% out of state. So most of those bigger public schools are mainly the flagship schools of the state as well, with a larger campus life as far as organizations. So in particular, we're 1,000 plus. So I think you're going to find on those larger campuses, definitely at least about 900 plus organizations you can join. Greek life will be common on the larger campuses, public campuses as well. And with a strong residential life. So different dorms, many different dorms will mainly come on those larger public campuses with different residence halls with different food options. So a lot of times you don't have to only eat in your dorm. You'll be able to kind of pop into any of the food quarters and get some food. So that's also nice on the larger type campuses too. So sometimes on those larger campuses, you'll have many different libraries. So we have 10 libraries on our campus, and some of those libraries are 24 hours, where you can study 24 hours. So those are just some examples of the larger.
So I can go next. Rural schools like mine tend to draw students who really like to be outdoors a lot of times. Like for example, we have our own ski hill. So if you ski or snowboard, it's kind of a unique place. We also get a lot of students who just like to mountain bike, hike, that want an area where they're not necessarily going to be distracted by the city life as well. So for academics, it really does help you focus a little bit as well. At the mid-sized school, we're Division II for athletics. Ohio State or larger institutions can possibly be Division I. We're Division II. So we're kind of not as competitive as a D1, but a little bit more competitive than the Division III for NCAA. So if you're looking for that sort of in-between as a student athlete, we definitely can offer that. We're still public as well, so anything that Josephine said in that respect applies. But what's different, I think, about is our campus life. So we are a smaller campus. We have kind of that small campus feel to it, even though we're a mid-sized school. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that our students come from all over, and so they really live on campus right in the local area. That's kind of part of what the rural situation is. And so our students really get to know each other. You're never going to know everyone on campus. That's the joy of being the mid-sized school, because we're just too big, but we're small enough that you're really going to feel like home. It's really going to feel like family. So it's kind of that in between. And that comes as well with student organizations. We've got 230 student organizations. So we always say, if it's not there, find 10 friends and you can make a new student organization. I mean, we do have a little bit of something for everyone.
Kind of moving to the smaller schools then, one of the things I think you're hopefully kind of getting the idea of is that it's really important to figure out what kind of environment you want to be in. So for St. Norbert being in a suburban setting, I say best of both worlds, right? We actually are 10 minutes from the third largest city in Wisconsin. So you have this really great advantage of having a big city that's going to have opportunities for internships, things for nightlife, and in walking distance, you've got things to do like coffee shops and all of that you would have in a big city, but on a smaller scale. And that's one of the great things about it. It also makes it a really quiet and safe setting for yourself too. And that was something I loved on our campus, beautiful waterfront, and that small, kind of quaint community. We are 98% residential, and that's something that I think is pretty unique to smaller schools, is that we have the ability, having less students, to kind of keep you all on campus. And I know you're probably thinking, I don't want to live in a dorm all 4 years. That's not the case. Even in other schools where you might live on campus all 4 years, you've got different living options. So, you might live in that traditional resident hall your first year. But by sophomore, junior, and senior year, you're going to be more in adult style living, apartments, townhouses, actual houses that schools own. but you'll still be within walking distance of campus. And I think that's something that students really do enjoy. And so when you're in that suburban setting, you have that access as well. We are a private school, so that means we are not publicly funded at all. All of our funds come from donors, so people who donate money to the college, but then also through like annual giving, and that will fund our endowments, and also tuition is another driver of what keeps our campuses running. So we aren't kind of utilizing all the state aid that state institutions are going to be in public institutions. It's another reason why we can do some different things. We're going to have a lot more, and we'll talk about this later, some scholarship opportunities, but that religious affiliation might come into play as well. Not every small school is going to have a religious tie to it. Ours happens to be a Catholic institution, and that's something that you want to find is important. That's going to open a lot of doors for you as far as what kind of setting you're in as well. If you want to have your faith life be a part of your journey during your 4 years, doing service, things like that, that's definitely something that you're going to see pretty heavily on a private campus as well as a school with a Catholic or a religious affiliation. Campus life, smaller school, definitely a deep sense of community. That's something you're really going to get a sense of. Now, with 2,000 students, you're not going to know absolutely everybody. It's impossible to. Even if you're at a school now that has 2,000 students, I can guarantee you don't know everybody. It's going to be the same case on our campus. However, you're going to see familiar faces everywhere you go. When you're in the library, you're in the quad or the cafeteria or in class, people you know are going to be shuffling in and out, which is kind of the benefit to that. Move into the next area. When you look at your wardrobe, what do you like some options? So this, we're going to focus more on the number of academic programs our schools offer, research, internships, and study abroad, and et cetera. When you think of your wardrobe, when you look at your closet, is it more monochromatic, or do you have a lot of wide variety of things? Do you have a lot of colors, maybe a couple casual outfits, but you've got a couple outfits that you wear continually? I mean, this is probably one of my favorite shirts, especially for these. So it's definitely something to consider, is what you're looking for, on campus with that. So with every school, regardless of size, there's going to be a lot of different majors that you can choose from. You're not going to look at a school and entertain a school that's not going to have a major that you want to get into. But with a smaller school, you might not have the wide variety of options as you are at a bigger school, which I'm sure Josephine will get into, and as well as Chrissy too. So we're even though we might not have as many programs, we're going to really dive deep into those. You're going to have a lot of faculty interaction with those majors that you get into. Another area I like to talk about is research. So we might not be considered a research institution, but that's definitely something that is still done on a small campus. Our faculty are there to teach, but also are still really heavily involved in research with our students. So you have that opportunity as early as your freshman year on a lot of campuses at small schools to be able to get into that. One of the reasons why is I think there's just not as much competition at other schools. So you do have that ability to hop into that pretty early on. And then internships. That's something that we definitely always push at all of our schools. Any school you go to, we hope you're going to be doing an internship during your 4 years. And that's something, especially on our campus, we like to see our students doing anywhere from 2 to 3 internships during their 4 years. And lastly, that study abroad. This is all about experiences that you can have outside of the classroom. And one of those best ways, right now our kids aren't able to go anywhere, but nationally 10% of college students are going abroad. To really increase your chances in doing that, we look at a lot of small schools having really great opportunities for you to do that. At St. Norbert, 30% of our students go abroad every year, and we make it a really easy transition for our students by working with a faculty advisor and our study abroad office to make sure that their classes are on track for them to graduate in 4 years, so they are able to keep those credits coming back, and that it's able for them to afford that. So it's part of your tuition and fees. So kind of a wasted opportunity out of small school if you don't go abroad. So definitely something to kind of consider during your 4 years.
Sounds great. And I'll talk a little bit more on the larger side. So at Ohio State, we have over 200 plus majors. So pretty much whatever you want to major in, we're going to have. And the nice thing too is you can customize. We have about 200 or 50, customizable majors too, where you can kind of mix some majors together. We have a lot of different major minor combinations you can do. And generally at those larger schools, public state flagship schools, we are have pre-med, pre-law, pre-physical therapy, because we have a law school on campus or a medical school on campus, or we have that doctorate in physical therapy. And so you can definitely go on and get your, graduate degrees also at Ohio State. We have many different type of programs you can do, as like I was saying, where maybe you want to major in engineering and minor in business. So lots of those can be had. So you can mix your in arts and sciences major with, let's say, a business or engineering or nursing major. So that is fairly common. We also have, most of us are big research institutions. So at Ohio State, we have 2 research institutes in the top 12. So if you do want to do any type of undergraduate research, you can do that as early as freshman year. So big research. And then those internships and co-ops are huge and available. So none of our students generally, and you'll find this at most of the larger, have difficulty finding those internships or co-ops, and typically they're not that far away as well. So most of our majors, let's say business, everyone 100% has an internship or a co-op, as well as engineering. So, and then what's really exciting about study abroad is the fact that we do go to all 7 continents. So that's pretty exciting, but also you can go away as early as that first May. So, after your freshman year, you can go away. And what's really nice too is there's lots of grants and scholarships for study abroad. So anybody, no matter what school you go into, I do recommend, going into the study abroad office and starting to look at that right away, because there are a lot of grants and scholarships for that. So, at the bigger type schools, you're just maybe going to have, those academic programs maybe that a smaller school may not have, and maybe be able to do a few different combinations of programs, and then also you may just have a little bit more research, but I know my colleagues here also has research on their campus.
Well, and at a school like Michigan Tech, which is really like a mid-sized STEM specific school, you're going to find that we're going to have a little bit more depth in some of the areas that you won't find elsewhere. So that means that we may have programs that are a little bit unique because of the types of majors that we have on our campus. For example, like we have theater performance, but we also have a theater tech program that has a full rigging studio and can make people fly. We have, we don't actually have music as a major, but we have sound design and audio production. So, even just beyond your standard engineering programs, we're going to have some of those niche areas that you might not find somewhere else. Even in computing at the undergraduate level, we're doing programs like cybersecurity, network and systems administration, and we're going to have programs where you can really drill down to more specific areas because we just have more students that are doing that. The best way I like to describe a school like ours is that you take the engineering, science, computer science, math, and business schools out of this larger area and drop it in the middle of Houghton or in the middle of the rural area or somewhere else. So we have that same type of research going on, but the campus size is smaller because we also don't have, hundreds of education majors on our campus or hundreds of English majors. We actually do have English as a major on our campus, but we don't have education, for example. So the types of things that we're offering are more specific. So if you're that student who knows no matter what you want to do math, science, computer science, you might want to take a history class, maybe a psych class here or there. That's awesome. But you know that you really want to get into the meat of that and you want to have those research opportunities that you would see at the big school, but you don't want to go to a big school, a school like ours is going to be a really great option for you because it kind of is the bridge between the two. That also plays itself out when you're looking at co-ops and internships. I mean, we work with about 415 companies that come up to Houghton, Michigan. And again, we are not somewhere you get to by accident. Schools like ours have all these partnerships with all these companies and corporations because of the research that we're doing on our campus. And they know the type of student that they're going to find at these STEM-based schools. So they're coming back and they're recruiting from there. So we're going to have those large opportunities. We have the research programs over the summer where our students can stay on. We have the study abroad programs, and we even have some unique study abroad programs like our students can go to Finland and study high-speed rail. The STEM type schools, they're really focusing on what can we do in study abroad that's going to make sense for our majors. And shocker, they do engineering, science, computer science, math, and business all over the world. So the students who come to me and tell me, well, I'm doing engineering, there's no way that I can study abroad. That is not true. There are lots of options for you. So if you're kind of looking for that big school experience as far as research, internships, and those STEM-based majors, you might actually prefer that a school like a Michigan Tech that has that smaller STEM-based focus, because it kind of bridges the gap between the two.
Sounds great. So now we're going to kind of talk about, have you found your style, your signature style? So as you've been hearing a little bit of the differences between small, medium, large, or STEM, and you're kind of thinking, do I want big city? Do I want small? What am I looking for? So we're going to kind of go through what students on our campus typically look like, or what their typical mindset is. So for us at Ohio State, we have mostly the students who are very involved in things, have like to do extracurricular. So tend to like the difficult rigor. So the rigor is harder. It's definitely harder. Not saying it's hard, not hard, but so we're looking for, someone who can take the challenge of a difficult rigor, as well as being involved, as well as trying to make, this world a better place. So, a lot of our students are very active in, volunteering and, service learning. So big part of our campus has service learning to it. So we just did a 24-hour dance-a-thon called the Buck-a-thon and raised $1.3 million for Nationwide Children's Hospital. So, so typically our students have that mindset too, where they just, want to try to make this world a better place, very involved. Like to have, our class sizes aren't huge. So even though a lot of times people get scared off that we're, a big school might have really big classes, and realistically, 80% of your classes are less than 50 students. So it might not be that at every big institution, but at Ohio State, we do pride ourselves on that 19-to-1 faculty to student ratio. So, that might be important to you also, though. Do you want to have smaller classes? Or do you want to be more like 10 or 12 to one professor? So kind of finding your fit with that, like what do you want your class size? Application process. So I know we are Common App, and a majority, I think, of the larger size public institutions are probably on the Common App. So for you seniors, definitely start creating your account and start looking at those prompts. So for many institutions do it different. But I would say, we do a holistic review. So the application process is you do submit your application through the Common App, and it is holistically reviewed, and then a decision comes out to you, and then you have till May 1st to commit. So though part of that application process is some schools may have direct majors. So let's say business and nursing and engineering are direct majors. That is what it is on our campus, and typically on most larger campuses, I think I do find that business school is direct and engineering is direct, and nursing. So those are the three typically I see that are direct majors. But you need to make sure you research all the schools that you're going to be applying to, and make sure you're researching all of their deadlines. So that would probably be, the biggest thing is just make your list and figure out what the application process is. So for us, it's submitting everything on a certain date, November 15th. So make sure you're meeting all the deadlines as well.
Great. And with smaller schools, one of the big things with our application process is we have rolling admissions. So I kind of joke the worst thing you can tell a senior is there really is no deadline to apply. That doesn't mean you should wait until the 11th hour to do that. We definitely encourage students to be submitting their applications at the same time that their applications will be due at a larger institution or schools with a definite deadline. But what rolling admissions means is that we are reviewing applications as they come in and are complete. So if you apply, typically between 2 to 4 weeks after you submit your application and submit all of your documents, we're going to be sending a decision back to you. So it's a pretty quick turnaround for us with that. You're not waiting long for a decision, which I always think is pretty nice. Also, at the time of acceptance with our schools specifically, and a lot of smaller schools, you'll also find out what merit scholarship you're receiving at the time of acceptance. Those are typically determined based off of your GPA, an ACT or SAT if the school does require it. I know test optional is really big now, and that's something that we've moved forward with. So that's something that we're considering, that we're looking at when we're reviewing your application. Like Ohio State, also holistic review at a lot of smaller schools. We're looking at what you've done during your 4 years, how you've prepared yourself for college, academic background, and all of that. So if you take an AP courses or honors courses, if you haven't, that's not a problem. We're just considering where you're at, at the strength that you've done at your level. When you're also applying to a smaller private school, typically you're not applying specifically for a major, you're applying to the college as a whole, and you're able to start with any major. So I know that's something that can take a lot of weight off your shoulders. If you really are undecided, you don't have to decide what specific major you want to get into. Not that you can't have that option at other schools as well, but it's just something that, I kind of joke, you don't really need to tell us what you want to major in because we're going to let you explore that in your first year. So that's going to be the typical application process at a smaller school.
At schools like Michigan Tech that are more specific, you're going to find that most students have already kind of found their style before they came in. They already know they're geeking out in the math, the science, the engineering, the business, and that's what they're looking for. So when they're looking at, you maybe don't know exactly what area you want to go into within that, but you know that for sure. And so at our school, we do allow you to apply directly into a particular program, which means when you come into Michigan Tech, you know you're already admitted to mechanical engineering, for example. Or we also have undecided programs by college, which means you could be an undecided engineer, you could be an undecided computer scientist, an undecided business major. It means that you're admitted to that college. But then once you're there, you do need to apply to that particular major afterwards. Now, what that means though, is that as long as you're doing well with your grades and keeping your GPA up, you're already into the college. And so getting into any of the programs isn't a problem. We don't cap the number of mechanical engineering majors, biomedical engineering majors, things like that. It's more about, are you going to be a good fit for the program? So you're already into the college, so as long as you're keeping your GPA up, moving into any of those majors is not a problem. It gives you a little bit more time to figure it out, and you're already on the engineering path. So instead of just being kind of in a general state your freshman year, you kind of already picked something that you kind of think you're interested in. That doesn't mean you can change your mind, but does mean that you have that. So, so most of our students, when they apply, at least have it narrowed down to what college they think they're applying to. So now, the question of the day now is, so how much assistance do you want when you shop? So when you walk into a store, are you the person that wants the person to come up to you and ask you if you have any questions? Are you kind of annoyed when they talk to you and want them to leave you alone? I mean, where are you in that situation? You're in the dressing room. Do you want someone to come and bring you an extra size? Well, that's kind of the difference between all of our schools. And we're kind of in the middle. Okay, so our average class size is about 30 students. At most mid-sized schools, I'm guessing it's going to probably be right around the same. We have a couple of the large lecture halls. Like I think our largest classroom at Michigan Tech right now is about 80 students. So it's going to be bigger than most high schools, right? But then we also have those smaller lab sizes. Our average lab size is about 16 students. So even though you might have this large chemistry lecture that has about 80 students, it's going to break into small sections for lab where you're going to get that personalized attention. So you have the ability to kind of be out in the peripheral, but you're going to get to know your faculty members. You're going to be able to do research with them. It's kind of the best of both worlds for the students that are looking for that. So if you want to be able to ask questions, you're going to want that, you're going to get that at a medium-sized school.
Coming from a small school, you've got to be someone that wants a lot of assistance. Class size, our biggest class is going to be around 30. So that's something that you're definitely going to be, in a smaller classroom. So average is typically around 19, 20 at most small schools. You might even get into a class that's even smaller. When I was a student at St. Norbert, my smallest class was actually 8 students. So it can be a little overwhelming, and you have to really participate in those classes, and you want to have that interaction, but that's something that you definitely get on a small school. Every single class is going to be taught by your professor, so you're going to interact with them on a daily basis in those classes. They've got their office hours for you, so if you have questions outside of the classroom, you can go and ask those. You might even grab coffee with a faculty member. I know one of my friends in the psychology department, she actually had her students over for dinner. So it's definitely something that you see on our campus. It's trends with that community-based learning that you're going to have. So you're really going to kind of develop those relationships in the classroom. And it also continues into advising and part of clubs and organizations. You might have a faculty or staff advisor as a member of your club or organization that you're in, but they also are going to help you with advising. Something that's pretty unique to St. Norbert that I always think is fun to share is all of our students meet with their academic advisors before they register for courses. So if you don't want to have a course catalog handed to you and have you figure it out on your own, you're definitely going to have someone walk you through that process and really make sure that you understand the courses you're selecting and that you're staying on track to graduate in 4 years. So you definitely do get a lot of assistance at a smaller school.
Yeah, and so at the large schools, it's really what you want you'll get out of it. So if you want to get that time with your professor, you will be able to do that. So all of our professors have office hours. I've never had a student say they cannot get in contact with their professor. So definitely, if you need to, you could always reach out to your professors. So generally, most of our classes, I said, were, under 80% or under 50, but that means you might have that 250 person lecture hall, and that would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Every class is taught by a professor. And then Tuesday, Thursday would be what's called restitution, and that is taught by a TA. So that'd be smaller, about 20 to 1. So, that's why we, most of your classes are under that 50 person, but you will have those larger size classes. You will, but in general, you're about a 19 to 1 faculty to student ratio. So it's definitely what you want to get out of it at a larger school is what you'll get out of it. So if you don't want, you're like, leave me alone, I can do this on my own, then you don't have to. But if you really want a professor's attention, you can definitely get that at a larger school as well.
Definitely. So let's talk accessories. We can definitely tell you that they complete an outfit, right? You're not going to walk out without your favorite pair of sunglasses or maybe a necklace for the girls or your right pair of shoes. They really finish that outfit. And college really is not just about sitting in a classroom. It's that whole experience, your whole involvement that make your college experience memorable. So what does that look like on our campuses? Definitely you can tell a big difference between a St. Norbert and Ohio State when it comes to the football season. We're not going to have that large experience that they're going to have, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to have a lot of school spirit. So we're going to be a D3 school, like many small colleges. They also might be D2, so that's something to consider. The biggest difference between our schools when that division comes into play is going to be that scholarship range. We definitely don't offer any athletic scholarships, but it's still really competitive when you're competing against other schools. And then we also do have a wide variety of clubs and organizations. So there's on our campus, for example, 100 plus clubs and organizations, everything from your academic type clubs to faith-based and service-based, the same that you're going to find on pretty much every campus. The big thing that we always say, and you're going to hear this from all of us, is it's really quality over quantity, not overextending yourself and being over involved, but just finding the right groups that are going to fit you, by going to that involvement fair that schools may have and learning about different clubs and organizations. Even for a small school, we have Greek life. So that's something that, I think a lot of people are shocked to hear that small schools also have Greek life on their campus too. But really, it's what you make of it at any of our campuses, and, as involved as you want to be. You just don't have as wide variety as options on a smaller school as you might at a big institution.
So Big Ten college football, yes, October 24th. So yeah, so as you can tell, I'm pumped. Big Ten, D1. I love college football, basketball, but we won 7 national titles last year. So, generally at those larger public universities, you will have, we're an academic powerhouse and a sports powerhouse. So we're really excited about that. So lots to do, lots for you to go and see. And get involved in as far as sports if you wanted to. Tons of clubs. So we have 1,300 clubs and organizations you can join. So pretty much if you have a hobby or you like something, I'm sure we have that club for you. Or you can create it, as Chrissy said. So, it's really easy to create a club too. So we do have Greek life. For us, it's about a little less than 20% though. So that goes to show you 80% are doing something else. So 20% of 50,000 is a lot, but that does go to show you that, 80% are doing something else. We are very big in music, theater, dance, and art. So I love that about our campus is that, we're second to Juilliard for dance. And so if you want to be in any productions or you want to audition for something, but it's not your major, or you want to be in the best blank band in the land, so we have the #1 marching band, you don't have to be a music major to be in those. So you could definitely get involved. So if you still love music, but you're not a music major, try out for something. There's a wonderful a cappella group you can do. So definitely tons to get involved in on a larger type campus. So tons of fun things to do in the city as well. So Columbus happens to be a very artsy music festival, has professional sports type city. So you could just hop on the Columbus bus and, go 7 minutes. And when the Blackhawks come to town, you can go to a hockey game. So that's pretty cool as well. Wonderful museums to go to and concerts. So because it's the 14th largest city, lots of musicians and comedians come into Columbus, and you definitely get those tickets at a discount. So, and then big into service. So definitely into service and service learning and helping to make this world a better place. So we're very big into service and raising money. So if that's something that interests you, also you may want to look at that as well.
At a Division II school, we really get student athletes for sure. And what I mean by that is we get students that want to compete at a high level, that they still want to be able to earn a scholarship to play a sport, but they also really want to be able to focus on balance between the athlete and the academic side of things. So, and especially even a little bit more at being like a tech-focused school, we tend to get students too that are really serious about engineering. It's not something you take lightly, or computer science. You really have to focus in those programs. Now we also have Division I hockey. So there are some unique programs with some STEM schools out there. Being a more rural school, I think from an activity standpoint, students, like there's fishing clubs, there's mountain biking, there's the ski hill. So when you're looking at rural schools, a lot of people are like, I'm going to be bored. No, there's so much that you can do, especially if you like the outside, the outdoors. So that's something to take into consideration. Now, if none of that sounds fun to you, then you're probably looking more at the 230 student organizations that a mid-sized school can provide. Yes, it's not going to be as many as Ohio State. It's probably going to be more than a school like St. Norbert's, but a mid-sized school is going to have lots of options for you. And I think with any of our schools, I think it's just proportional to the number of students on our campus. And the truth is, at any school, it's going to be what you make of it. So, you could go to a school, a Big Ten school, and if you sit in your room it's no different than if you were at any of our campuses. So part of it is really sitting down and going, what's important to me, and does this school offer it?
Exactly. So it's kind of doing some inner reflection. So doing some inner reflection as to what do you think you like, but also you need to know, what's the price tag. So number one thing is it has to be a feeling fit. You have to visit, which we're going to talk about, but you have to look at the price tag. So you need to make sure that you shouldn't be scared by really high price tags, because sometimes those might have really good scholarships. So bottom line is, have that conversation with your parents, or parents, if you're watching, have that conversation with your kids as to what's saved. Have that conversation as to what you need for scholarships at the schools you're interested in, and make sure you're meeting all the deadlines. So number one thing is, make sure you're meeting all the deadlines for scholarships.
And out-of-state schools like Josephine and I think a lot of times people are like, you're an out-of-state public, there's no way that we could afford you. And I really think that you do need to take a look at those scholarships, because oftentimes we can be as competitive as the Illinois schools, as well as sometimes we're cheaper than the in-state schools, just because the ability we might have to give financial aid. So definitely keep that in mind.
And lastly, I'll kind of add, from a private school, I know a lot of people have really big sticker shock when they see, the price of a private school. But something I can definitely tell you with small schools is that cost and affordability is really important to us, as they are at all institutions. We want you to be able to afford your education. So make sure that you're having these conversations with admission counselors. All three of us work here in the Illinois area and are available, and we'll give you our contact information in a minute. So if you do have questions about cost, whether it's our schools or just kind of looking at, in a whole, make sure you reach out to us. But, you're really looking at the value of what you're getting when you're paying for your school, and making the most of it when you're attending any school.
And last but not least, you have to visit. You can go to as many of these presentations, you can look at our website. It's just not the same. And when you go to visit, go eat at the local restaurants. Don't go to Applebee's, go to somewhere local, ask the tour guides or the students on campus where they go. Really get a sense of what it would be if you're on campus. I'm going to end with a quote from my dear friend Kelly Allen from Iowa State. This process is part gut, part brain. And unless you go and visit, you can't see if both of them work together. So I think that that's what we really should end on. And what questions do you guys have? We have a few minutes for questions.
Yeah, and the other thing I just wanted to add before we go to questions is most of us aren't. I know we're not doing visits until we're readdressing it in the new year, but there's many, many virtual options for you. So start making your list and start doing those virtual tours, because we actually have a virtual tour where the students are walking around. So at least you get to see the campus. So at least try to do some of those virtual, but once you can visit, please go and visit schools.
And you can visit some schools. Yeah, us too. So not all schools are closed either.
Yes, not all schools are closed. So go visit.
Definitely get on campus. It's something we can't, say enough. It's really the only way you can figure out. I always use my own personal example. When I was looking at schools, I was going to go to a Big Ten until I got on a campus and realized personally for me, it wasn't going to be a good fit. I wanted to have more of that attention, and you can't figure that out until you really get into that whole process and get on a campus and feel that experience. So make sure you visit, and visit all types of college campuses too.
Kat, do you want to move to our contact information, because we only have one more minute?
Yeah, we don't have any questions right now. So the most important thing is, try to step foot on different kinds of campuses. Try to do a big, try to do a medium, try to do a small, try to do a public, try to do a private, because, you may think you want one thing and then you realize you want something else. And so, just, try to. You can actually start walking the campuses. Even if they don't have a visit, you could probably still go and visit. So let's happen to say you're in Columbus, Ohio, please go visit Ohio State, and definitely eat down on High Street at the Melt or Jenny's Ice Cream. But that's our contact information. We really hope you guys contact us, and we live local, just like Kat said. So never hesitate to reach out to us.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, there is a question.
Oh, do we have any? Oh,
How is the weather in the UP? A little bit cooler than it is here. We get about 200 inches of snow here, but not as cold as you would think. So that's why we get so much snow.
great question. Please, if you have them, ask them. Have a wonderful rest of your night.
You're welcome.
Hey everyone, thank you all again for joining. This was a lot of useful information. Hope you all took good notes, but there is a quick survey after you complete or after you exit out of this webinar, and also please sign up for more sessions if you haven't already. This is going on until October 22nd. And again, the recording will be available that you can look at and download and view on demand whenever you'd like, or share with your parents if it's you watching it. Thank you all for joining us, and have a good rest of your evening.
Bye.
Bye.